everybody. Welcome back. The America First Warehouse here in Ronkonkoma, New York on Long Island. And you're listening to the On the Right Side podcast, which comes to you live every Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m., courtesy of Joe the Box, our wonderful proprietor here, who has created this incredible museum for Patriots. You have to come by if you haven't already. I'm Steve Levy. I'm your co-host. David Zare is often with me. He's a reporter for Real America's Voice on assignment today. But I have the whole hour to get into anything I want. And I wanted to really get into the issue of unaffordability, because you're hearing this everywhere now from all the candidates for office. I know something about it. I was a longtime county and state official here on Long Island. I was a New York State Assembly member from 2001 to 2004. Before that, I was a Suffolk County legislator for 15 years, and in 2004, I became the Suffolk County executive for 2 terms. So I learned what the big causes were here on Long Island and New York for unaffordability. And I just think it's so darn ironic right now that the people who are running are saying, oh, you know, this present administration, they're causing all of this unaffordability. And I'm laughing and I'm saying, you know, certainly you can say tariffs may have a little bit to do with it. And of course, the war in Iran has pushed up gas prices, and that could have a little bit to do with it. But folks, the issue of unaffordability was way before the last year and a half, way before the Iran war. Way before tariffs were being played with. The unaffordability issue has been here for decades in many instances for some of our states. And the states that are most unaffordable are the blue states, those states that have the liberal spending legislatures. What are they? We know what they are. New York, New Jersey, Hawaii, California, Illinois. They are your big spending states where electric rates are 50% higher than the rest of the nation. That's the case in New York, where our electric rates are 56% higher. Our electric rates went up 70% over the last 6 years because of these climate change policies. There's a direct causation between unaffordability and these crazy lunatic policies that you see in the blue states, the climate change policies. They're not in Florida. They're not in Wyoming. They're in California, Illinois, and New York, right? So these states have things in common. The municipal unions are so incredibly powerful that they dictate the policy. And most of those policies are raise taxes, create more perks and benefits for the public sector, put more people on Medicaid, more people on welfare. So what I did is I put together what I considered to be the dirty dozen, the 12 worst laws in New York State that contribute to this unaffordable nature that we face here in New York. And I wanted to go over them with you so you have a better idea as to what's causing the problem and what's needed to fix it. Before you can fix a problem, number one, you have to understand what's causing it. Number two, you have to have the solutions. And number three, here's the hardest part, you need an independent legislature that can take on the unions and actually bring about some change. So let's go over to them with you so that when someone asks you, you can direct them right to this podcast, and I'll spell it out for you what's causing the problem. Let's go to it, Bill, up in the room. Let's put on the screen some of these 12. Okay, let's go over them one by one. Okay, here you can see number one, overtime and pensions. What we have in New York, what they have in Illinois, what they have in California, in the public sector, they have something called the defined benefit pension, okay? But before we get into that, let's just read over these, okay? What are the 12? Overtime pensions, beefing them up. 2, full coverage for health care for some public sector employees and retirees. Number 3, mandatory arbitration when it comes to salaries for law enforcement. We'll get into that a little more. 4, something called the Triborough Amendment. That is an automatic step increase even after the contract expired. We'll get into that to a greater extent. 5, retirement after 20 years. In some cases, you have 4 people in one job, all being alive, and you're paying for all of them. 6, the inefficient school spending. We'll get into the particulars. Next asset here. 7, expansion of Medicaid and the non-working population. 8, disability abuse, which I'm going to save for last. 9, the Wicks law. 10, scaffold law. 11, money going to illegal aliens. And 12, sick day abuse. In no order necessarily. Okay, let's go back to pensions, okay? What's a defined benefit? A defined benefit pension is what people in the private sector have. Public sector, excuse me. That means you're told, here's how much you're going to make every month for the rest of your life, courtesy of the taxpayer. Now, contrast that to a defined contribution program if you're lucky enough to have that in the private sector. Private sector rarely ever has a defined benefit. That means you're going to get paid $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, no matter what. In the private sector, if you have a defined contribution system, it's like a 401k, right? You contribute, your employer might match it, and the amount goes up and down with the market. If the market goes down, you make up the difference, not the taxpayer. Defined benefit means the taxpayer always makes up that difference. And that's why our taxes go up every year. It is to support the defined benefit system that all of these employees get. Now, they bulk up this pension through overtime. That's been one of the great scams of the century. So let's say you're a cop who has a base salary of $175,000 a year. You know that you can build up the overtime in the last couple of years and make that $175,000 salary $275,000. You retire. That's the base now for your pension, and you get 50, 60% of your pension. You're retiring with a pension of $100,000 or more. It's quite common now, but that's the problem we have with the defined benefit system. We tried to change it in 2012 with Tier 6. They amended it to say that anyone who came into county employment or state employment after 2012 would not be able to collect all of that overtime into the pension, and you'd have to contribute more into your pension. Guess what they did last year, ladies and gentlemen? Last budget session this year in like April and May of 2026. They reversed it. Democrats and Republicans alike both went in the tank for the unions. So any reforms that we made to this horrible system were eviscerated, and we're back to rolling our car off of the cliff. Really, really terrible. All right, number 2, full coverage for health benefits. Health benefits, as you know, can cost a family $25,000, $30,000 a year. A single could pay $8,000, $12,000, $15,000 a year. Well, in the private sector, maybe your employer will pay half of that if you get any kind of coverage at all. Okay, but in the public sector, you might pay zero into it. Teachers pay a little bit into it. The new employees were supposed to pay into it, but some of the older employees, yours truly included, they contribute nothing into the healthcare system. So you have these thousands of people getting free healthcare for the rest of their lives at no cost. It's simply unsustainable. There should be at least, a 10%, 15%, 20% contribution. Unless you change that, it's just not going to be enough for the private sector to maintain. It's just too much money. So that's why they're always taxing you. Interestingly, in Illinois, they imposed a new tax over the last couple of years. They found out that 80% of the revenue generated by that new tax went solely to cover for the increased pensions for all of these public sector retirees. Just simply unsustainable. Number 3, mandatory arbitration. What's that all about? Why do police officers in Suffolk and Nassau make so much money? It's because for the longest time they've had mandatory arbitration. So the county executive and will negotiate with the unions, and they say we want some givebacks. We want longer work rules. We want two guys instead of 2 guys in every car, 1 guy in every car. We want better scheduling opportunities, and they say no, we're not going to give back anything. So then you say, well, what do I have as leverage here as the executive? Not much, because the union knows they'll go to the mandatory arbitration, and the arbitrator usually will give them everything they want. And that's why for years, Suffolk and Nassau law enforcement was earning far more than New York City guys who were getting shot at every day, really far more dangerous in the city. But now that's flipping a little bit because New York City got the arbitration, so they're starting to make a lot more too. We've got to get rid of mandatory arbitration. Regular employees, public works, they don't have it. Teachers, they don't have it. It's a bad, bad system. So those are 3. In the next segment, we're going to go over the other 9 that tells you why New York is so unaffordable. Stay with us on the right side.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just 2 entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our Patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW, making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single, Justice for All, with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. Well, get ready for round 2. We're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all, our voices ring. The anthem of the free.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see. A symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Hey, welcome back, folks, on the Right Side podcast. I'm Steve Levy, former Suffolk County Executive, New York State Assemblyman, and I'm presently serving as the Executive Director of the fiscally conservative think tank, the Center for Cost-Effective Government. We're talking about the 12 dirty dozen worst laws in New York that have created this affordability situation we're in, and it goes back for decades. And I thought it was important to explain it to you, because having been in government as both a Republican and a Democrat, both on a state level and on the local level, and as an executive and in the legislature, I got a pretty good feel for this. And in the first segment, we went over the first 3 items. Hey, Bill, if you can put back up the 12 items, I want the folks to see them once again. We're going to read through them again. It's overtime on pensions that's killing us. It's full coverage for health care benefits without any contribution from a lot of the public employees and retirees. Mandatory arbitration that I got into. The next 3, the Triborough Amendment, retirement after 20 years, and bad school spending. Let's go over them. What is the Triborough Amendment? The Triborough Amendment is something unique to New York. When there's something called a step increase in the public sector. In the private sector, you go to year, and maybe you get a 2% increase, 3% increase. Well, in the public sector, you get those increases too, 2%, 3%, 4%, depending on what was negotiated. But you also get a step. A step is another 2 or 3%, sometimes 4%, that you'll get for just existing another year. So you go up to step 2. You just got a 2-3% increase. But because of the negotiated contract, that also increases another 2, 3, 4%, whatever negotiated. So it's a double raise. But you get that even after the contract has expired and you're in negotiations as a union with management. So the management, whether it's the school boards or the executives, they complain, there's no incentive for the union to negotiate to give back, because they're still getting paid these raises even after the contract expired. It's a really bad situation. It puts us behind the 8 ball here in New York, and it really has to be changed. Let's go to the next one, retirement after 20 years. I think this was put into effect, decades ago, when life expectancy was 60 years old and you needed to encourage people to join the public safety and the public sector. Well, those days are long gone. People are living into their 90s now regularly, and the idea of having a 20-year retirement, you think about this, you could have a young man or woman joining the police force at 22 years of age. By the time they're 42, they can retire. And they can go out after that and earn livings on so many other things. But you're paying the pension for that person for the rest of their life. And again, they're living a lot longer. But then you also have to hire the newbie to replace that individual. You have to pay that person into that person's pension and their health care. So you're paying health care for 2. But now what happens when that person hits not 42, but 62? The first person who you hired, he retires, she retires. Now you got 3 people, 2 on retirement, 1 on the payroll as the active person. Okay, now that person hits 82. Now you got 3 retirees and 1 active person. This is unsustainable. It's crazy, and it's in a bygone era. It really has to change for the new employees. No more 20-year retirement, folks. It's really just bleeding us dry. The next one, inefficient school spending, okay? We in New York are now spending $36,000 per pupil. The rest of the nation, it averages $17,000. We are double the national average, folks, and our test results don't show it. We're in the middle of the pack, so there's no correlation between more taxes, more spending, and a better outcome. You know who gets the better outcome these days, folks? It's the people in Mississippi. I'm going to go ahead. Could you find that asset number 4, please, Bill? It's called the Mississippi Miracle. Check this out, okay? Mississippi back in 2014 was ranked 49th out of 50 in education performance. They were terrible. Everybody laughed at Mississippi. But in 2014, 2015, they got wise, and they created this new program called the literacy-based program. And basically what they did was this, folks: third grade, we're going to test you at the end of the year. And if you're not passing, you're going to get left back. I remember those days. Kids got left back, and there was a lot of pressure to improve. And that went away for decades. They were just socially promoting everyone. Everybody was passing no matter what you did. Mississippi says, hey, we're going back to the old days. Common sense, phonics, things that worked. And testing, and if you don't muster up, you're getting left back. But they didn't just automatically leave them back. They'd give them help. They'd let them go through summer school, and if you went through it, you were fine. If you slocked it off, you were left back. Guess what, folks? They went from 49th to first, #1 in reading for 4th graders, #1 in math for 4th graders. By the 8th grade, still #4 for reading, #1 for math. They showed that it's not money, it's discipline and it's standards. Why aren't we doing this everywhere, ladies and gentlemen? Why? Because the teachers' unions are all powerful, and they stop it. They don't want charter schools that work fantastically. They don't want money going to private schools. They want to send their kids to the best private schools, but your kids get stuck in some of these really bad schools. Create competition, all the schools improve. That's what the studies show. So there you go. That's one of the reasons why New York continues to spend more and we get nothing back for it, okay? They're now providing free lunches for all the kids. And I get it. You want to have free lunch for poor kids. But free lunch for the kids of millionaires? Come on, give me a break. College assistance. I want college assistance for poor kids, maybe even lower class, working class kids. But why the upper middle class kids getting this, free tuition? It doesn't make any sense. You should be able to pay your way based upon what you can afford. But that's why we're going broke. Now they want preschool for every kid. Well, all right, fine, but preschool doesn't help. We have studies on that showing that in many cases by 8th grade, any of those original help boosts that you got dissipate. So it's really not saving money. It might be babysitting, but it's not giving them a leg up. And then you have the nutcases in New York City, that in the city council that put in place the new cap on the number of kids you can have in the class, okay? 20 kids in the class. There's no correlation between the class size and the performance. I was in Catholic school in New York City, in Queens, in the 60s. I had 63 kids in my class. I'm not making that up. We had 9 rows, seven kids in it. It was either 7 rows with 9 or 9 rows with 7. And we learned because there was discipline and there were standards and there were mom and dad kicking your butt if you didn't do your work, okay? So the schools have to be totally revamped. It's all about standards and culture and discipline and not about money, folks, okay? Expansion of the non-working population in Medicaid. Do you know that in New York State, we now have 1 out of every 3 people on Medicaid? In New York City, it's about a half. 1 out of every 2 people in New York City are on Medicaid. And we get it that in COVID, a lot of people were put on the Medicaid rolls because it was such a disruption. But now we're years beyond COVID, and they haven't adjusted that. It goes up, and it stays up there. Just like spending in COVID went up, and it didn't come down after COVID ebbed. It stayed up here, and that's why we have this level of unaffordability. But here's another important stat. You talk about the non-working folks, okay? We now have 9 million people who are no longer working. 7 million adult, able-bodied men just stop looking for work. Why? Because we give them money to stay home. there was a study in Pennsylvania that showed you can collect the equivalent of $57,000. And this was back in like 2012 for just sitting home between Medicaid and food stamps and everything else you can get. A lot of these guys say, why should I work? They're giving me money to stay home, right? Really crazy. Okay, let's look at what we call the scaffold law. Again, only in New York. It really, really kills us as far as our competitiveness. It says that if a worker is working on a building and gets hurt, the building owner is 100% liable, even if it was totally the fault of the worker. The guy goes out, has lunch, drinks a six-pack, comes back, loses his balance, falls. The employer has to pay 100% of that. It's really quite crazy. And they say that leads to the cost of housing being increased by 10% because of the insurance premiums that come about because of that. These contractors will tell you 7, 8, 10% of their whole budget goes to insurance to cover for this crazy law. Then we have something called the Wicks law, which says that when you're constructing a public building over a certain size, you can't just hire one GC who will then hire the subcontractors. No, you have to hire the separate electrician, the separate steam fitter, the separate carpenter, whatever, and that totally jacks up the prices of these constructions by 10, 20, sometimes 30%. Again, only in New York, folks. This is why it's so hard to live here. When we come back in the next segment, we're going to talk about the expense for illegal aliens, and we're going to talk about one of my faves, the disability abuse and the scam that it has become. So come back with us in 3 minutes, folks, on the Right Side Podcast. I'm Steve Levy.
Beneath the Texas sky, I can rope and ride like Daddy, and I never ever cried. But now the world's a-changing, girls must cover up to their eyes. Don't wanna be sold to some old man, I'd really rather die. So just go home. Just go home. Just go home. Sharia law's not welcome over here. Just go home. Take your medieval rules and stick them in your ear. Just go home. Your Sharia law will never rule our land. Just go home. We've got the Second Amendment to help you understand. Just go home. Just go home. Just go home. Take your hijabs back, better pack your burqas too. Just go home. God's blessed Texas and the other 49 too. Just go home. Don't Sharia my Texas, just go home. Don't Sharia my Texas, just go home. Oh, the yellow rose of Texas that I'm a-gonna see. Nobody else could miss her, not half as much as me. She cried so when I left her, it nearly broke my heart. And if I ever find her, we never more will part. Oh, the yellow rose of Texas that I'm gonna see. Nobody else could miss her, not half as much as me. She cried so when I left her, it nearly broke my heart. And if I ever find her, we never more will part. Just go home.
Hey, we're back, folks. Welcome to the On the Right Side podcast, coming to you live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. here at the America First Warehouse. Thank you, Joe DeBox, for making this all possible. I encourage you to go to the America First Warehouse, especially the TV and media part. We can see all of our back episodes, and you can see so many other amazing podcasts that emanate from this wild location. We have great people here, from Rudy Giuliani to Kellyanne Conway, Monica Crowley, Greg Kelly. They fill the place every month with some amazing things. So you got to join us. Okay. So I have it to myself this week because David Zare, one of our co-hosts, couldn't be with us. And I wanted to lay out for you the dozen dirty laws in New York that make us so unaffordable. So if someone asks you, isn't it these tariffs and the Iranian war that are causing all this, the prices to go up? No. It's these things that have been existent in blue New York for the longest time. And I got to tell you, a lot of the Republicans are just as guilty as the Democrats in having allowed these horrible laws to take effect and then to perpetuate. So we need independent legislators out there, real fiscal conservatives that will say enough is enough. So I listed 9 of them already. Here's the last 3. One is called sick day abuse. And that's where you have, like let's use Long Island again as an example, okay? In law enforcement, you can get 26 sick days per year. Like the sheriffs have it right, and in New York City they have it right, that you get unlimited sick. If you need it, you use it. We'll let you be sick as long as you don't abuse it. But you don't bank those days. But like in some aspects of government, you get the sick day, and if you don't use it, you don't lose it. Like you do in the private sector, you bank it. So think about that, 26 sick days a year over a 20, 25, 30-year career, okay? And here's the kicker. You collect all that money for the sick days that you didn't use, but it's at the salary on your last year, not your first year, when you incurred that sick day, when you were making 50 grand a year. Now you're making 200 grand a year. So you're getting all of these days, it might be hundreds of days that you collected, and you're getting paid at your top salary. Some people in law enforcement on Long Island exit with these sick days and vacation days valued at $500,000. It's really crazy. Got to stop it, but that's a problem. All right, the money that's going to illegal aliens, folks, and they say it doesn't. They're such liars. You know it does. Now what's happening, you can't go on Medicaid as an illegal alien. Baloney. You can, because they go through the states, and the states work around it. And, they bill the federal government. The federal government doesn't know it's going to the illegal alien. They just know it's going to a health service. So when Mayor Adams waved in and welcomed all of the illegal aliens to New York City, doing his grandstanding, he didn't tell you that it was going to wind up costing the city of New York $10 billion over those years. $10 billion cost New York State another $4 billion. We don't have to do this. They're doing this because they want to welcome in the illegal aliens. We know why. They want to make them dependent on the state, unlike the aliens from years ago. And then they want to give them amnesty and have them vote. And we know how they're going to vote. Big scam. It's in the blue states, and it's killing us. Now, the last one. This is one that I just wrote an article on. It's being published in Newsmax. And by the way, my 12 Dirty Dozen laws, that's also being published in Newsmax. But disability abuse, which may be one of the biggest scams of the last 5 decades. It is really getting far beyond what it was originally intended to be. Could you put up that picture, Bill? Did you guys hear about this story? It's a retired cop. There he is, pictured in a powerlifting contest after he was already on disability. So the Attorney General found out about this guy, and good, they're going after him. But how many others are there like this? countless. It's incredible. Why do they do it? Because we let them. It's so easy to do. All right, these are some of the numbers. It's now costing us $157 billion to pay for all of this disability. In 1996, it was costing $46 billion. We had 4.4 million people out on disability. Now, it peaked at about 9 million, right around in the Obama era when we were in that recession. Recession's long gone, but it's still hovering at that same amount. Now, why does this happen? Again, because we let them. One half of the New York City Fire Department retires, at least a third to a half, on a disability. So what does that mean? Why do they want to go out on disability? Because you get your money tax-free. And when you're still employed, it could be 100% of your salary tax-free. You retire, 75% of your salary tax-free. So you can actually be making more money staying home than going back to work. This is a scam. But Steve Levy here, I've got the solution. It was in my book, Solutions to America's Problems. Here's the solution. It's kind of easy, right? You say, hey, we will never let you starve. You're claiming disability. Here's what you do. Oh, by the way, that guy, the weightlifter, he had all these side businesses. He was an electrician, doing this and that. He was probably a personal trainer to boot. Who knows? But we let them stay home and get the money and go out do other jobs. Here's what we do. We say, we won't let you starve, but you have to report to a centralized location. You're going to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Put in your time. We may have you file. We may have you do this or that to help the public. Or, we'll just let you sit there. It's analogous. You know what the rubber room is in New York City? When these teachers, they're accused of something, and they don't want them in the classroom. They put them in these rooms. It's like a study hall. And they just sit there, okay? Well, why are you allowing these fakers on disability to stay home, play video games, watch TV? Come on into the centralized location. You'll get your money. You'll see how fast they say, I'm really not hurt that bad. And you know what the biggest scam is of late? You know what the fastest growing segment of the disabled population is? Get this. These are the two. Backache and stress. Who the hell among us over 40 don't have backache or some kind of stress? There's a cure. There's a cure. You make the person show up to a centralized location, and you'll see how fast maybe my job isn't so bad. I might as well just get my money because I'm not going to be able to garden. I'm not going to be able to do all my other things. I'm not going to be able to travel. I'm not going to be able to rock climb or play video games. I'm going to have to sit there in that room. I won't put in the bogus claim. Let's see if they ever do it. I hope to God they do. So those are my dirty dozen, folks. I hope you seriously look them over, because they are the cause of why things are so unaffordable here. Don't let them tell you that, it's the tariffs all of a sudden, or it's the price of oil because of the war. Why did we go to this affordability crisis? We didn't have an affordability crisis in 2019. The economy was humming. The Trump administration cut taxes, cut the regulations. It was a great economy. Do you remember that? Then we had COVID, and in comes Biden. What does he do? I mean, they spent a lot of money in that last year of Trump. You had to do it because of the pandemic with the PPP loans and stuff. But then we started to level off and recover. But in comes Biden, and he uses COVID as an excuse to explode spending by trillions of more dollars. His Build Back Better bill, his inflation reduction, which was really the climate change bill and the bailout of Obamacare, and his other bills, trillions and trillions of dollars he spent. Deficits, $2 billion, the new normal. The debt goes up to 36, 37 trillion. What did that do? When you spend that kind of money, inflation goes up by 9%. That's what happened in the Biden years. So the Fed turns around and says, we have to raise interest rates, right? So when you raise interest rates, you can't afford a house anymore, right? If you had a $500,000 mortgage in the Biden administration, when rates went up to 6.5%, you're paying $1,400 a month more, $1,200 a month more per month in your mortgage than the mortgage you would have had in the Trump years when it was a little over 2%. That's $14,000 more every year you're paying for your housing because they spent so much money in the Biden years. And then he let all the illegal immigrants in. Well, what happened there? A new study that came out last month showed that of the rent increases that occurred over the last few years, 20% of that is attributable to all these illegal aliens that Biden let in the country and the pressure they put on the housing market. 30% of the increase in a new home or a traded home are because of the illegal aliens putting pressure on the market. So it's not these tariffs that created it. It's illegal immigration. It's the climate policies that increased the cost of electricity in these blue states by 50%, and it's the increased spending. So don't let them pull the wool over your eyes, folks. Come back for one more segment on the right side. I'm Steve Levy.
Me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic place in all the land. Hey, I'm here getting cleansed up. You know why? Because Sugar Creek Goods is a great place by patriots, making patriot soaps, making me smell nice. And that's what's nice. Who wants to go down the street and smell of somebody bad in New York City? Hey, by the way, what's this thing for?
250 years ago, a nation was born, built on courage, driven by freedom, defined by patriots who stood their ground. Today, we don't just remember that legacy, we wear it. This is more than a shirt. It's a symbol of strength, freedom, and pride. I'm Steve Stern, COO of theflagshirt.com, and I invite you to celebrate 250 years of the United States with us. Wear your pride, stand for something, get your shirts today.
You know what is more disappointing than Gino Bisconte, everyone?
My sex life?
No, bad cell service. Let's make fun of Gino. Oh, wait, he's here.
Well, speaking of the opposite of his sex life, these people have towers that are huge and they're everywhere. And while you're traveling, you can use these huge towers. PatriotMobile.com/ it bends to the right. I don't have to tell you. TAFW. And then you can talk about me behind my back.
Patriotic people doing patriotic things.
Today is a good day to be free.
It's me, Joe the Box.
And I'm John the Blanket with the America First podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino podcast coming to you from the America First Warehouse.
Welcome, everybody, to the James Justice Show, tearing these airwaves apart with all the craziness that goes on in the world.
Welcome to the Patriots podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Shane Jenkins here with another episode of Liberty's Cage.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Red, Right, and True.
We are streaming live on America First Media and Television app.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Hey, folks, welcome back. This is the last segment, last 15-minute segment of the On the Right Side podcast, coming to you from the America First Warehouse here in Ronkonkoma, New York, live every Wednesday, 4 o'clock. I'm Steve Levy. I'm your host. I am a former Suffolk County executive and New York State Assembly member, and I have the whole hour here to talk about the dirty dozen laws in New York that make it so unaffordable, and disability abuse, things I write about in my book, Solutions to America's Problems, and the many articles I write for Newsmax, and they get published in the Washington Times, Washington Examiner. You can go to my website at stevelevy.info to see all my writings. You could also look to the Center for Cost-Effective Government.org, where you'll see a lot of our white papers on how we think we can make Long Island, New York, and America more affordable. I got a last second now. I'm going to ramble on about 4 or 5 different things. I want to start off, though. Did you guys see this deep fake video that was produced by Bruce Blakeman's campaign, the fellow running against Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York? Hey, Bill, can we run this thing for anyone who hasn't seen it? It was Spencer Pratt, the fellow who was running for mayor in L.A., started this craze. He did a devastating deep fake on Karen Bass, the mayor, and now Hochul is the victim of it with Blakeman. Let's see. Can we run this thing?
We provided luxury accommodations for illegal migrants in beautiful hotels just like this. And we raised taxes by $8 billion for the programs that matter, like free health care for sex workers and lucrative no-bid contracts to the politically connected. Thanks to our hard work, we're leading the nation in giving foreign companies energy contracts, which means your energy bills go up. But I get invited to all the best donor dinners now. We've raised tolls and fares over 20 times because the best way to fix traffic is to ensure regular people can't afford to drive or take the subway. And we ended cash bail so that we would stop punishing people who commit brutal crimes against our fellow New Yorkers, like this nice young man.
Want some crack?
This November, don't let Bruce Blakeman lower your taxes or make New York safe. Keep it unsafe and unaffordable with Kathy Hochul as your governor.
That is brilliant. It is devastating. But here's the question. Is it okay? Can't blame Blakeman for doing anything illegal or really taking things out of context. I mean, he's right as far as the policies of Hochul. They are pro-criminal, they're pro-illegal immigrant, they're pro-higher taxes and higher costs. So that's all fair game. And I think it's fair to go after any elected official on things they've said, but I'm uneasy. Even though it wasn't illegal for what Spencer Pratt did or what Blakeman just did here, I think maybe it should be. I don't think it's cool to take a person's face and then put words coming out of their mouth that they did not say in that kind of a context. I think it's perfectly fine to take a real video of a person like Kamala Harris, for instance, when she sat in an interview and she said, yeah, I want to have taxpayer-financed sex change operations for prisoners. Trump used that brilliantly in the they-them commercial. Fair game. That's different than taking Kamala Harris and putting different words into her mouth in a deep fake. End the deep fakes. I don't like them. But keep going with the kind of real-life stuff that Trump did. So that's my little spin on that. But, boy, that was one devastating commercial. All right, we got to talk about my favorite guy, the Commie Mandami. Every week he's got another one that keeps us going. What did he do this week? Okay. The free grocery stores, right? What a scam. It's going to cost millions and millions of dollars to create these stores. It's communism run amok. He's bragging, oh, we're going to have 30% less on these staples, right? These food staples. Baloney. It's only less because you're subsidizing your public supermarkets with my money, our money, taxpayer dollars. So a very few select New Yorkers who get in there first and take everything off the shelf will get taxpayer-subsidized food. Everybody else will be paying more in taxes. And here's the kicker. The bodegas within that area will go out of business because they can't compete against a communist-run program that gets subsidized by the taxpayers, and the whole system falls apart. And in the long run, in the end, everybody will be worse off. This guy is a scam a minute. What's the other thing he said? His second home tax. You know that one? Oh, it's just going to be against the fat cats, you know, the CEOs of these big tech corporations. $5 million and above. Then you find out the fine print. Wait a minute. For a condo or a co-op, it's $1 million. You can't get a condo or a co-op for much under $1 million in New York City. This is going to affect tremendous amount of people paying this tax. That, again, he pulled the wool over your eyes. But that's the way this guy operates. And when he's not doing that, he's doing this nonsense that he's going to arrest Netanyahu, which he knows he has no legal ability to do. But he's just fanning the flames. He concentrates on Netanyahu, who is defending his people from an attack from the there's 9 million Jews that have been under attack by hundreds of millions of Arabs and Muslims surrounding them over the years. So they have to go into Gaza to clear out the area to prevent another attack. They have to go into southern Lebanon to get Hezbollah out of there because they're lobbing rockets over. But is Nandami calling for the arrest of the head of Hezbollah? No. The head of Hamas? No. Putin? No. Xi, who puts Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps? No. Because they have the Marxist-Muslim alliance. But they want to go after Netanyahu. And what did it do? It led to an anti-Semitic attack, a stabbing by a Muslim man against a Jew, claiming Allah Akbar. Obviously, it was a hate crime. Then you saw the hate crime spreading around the world. In England, you had a hate crime, Muslim against a Jew. You just had one in France the other day. But the media will just say there was an attack or there was a vehicle that slammed into these people, not saying that it was a Muslim-inspired hate crime. Not that Muslims are bad. Muslims are wonderful people. Most are great patriotic Americans. But a big segment is being inflamed by Hamas, by Hezbollah, by Iran, by Boko Haram, by the former caliphates. Okay, they're out there. And they're looking to destroy Western civilization, and they formed an alliance with the Marxists, but the elites in the media won't say it. Marco Rubio did. Marco Rubio called out the Western media and academia for not calling out what this is, the rise of far leftists and Islamic terrorism around the world. And he's forming a coalition of the West to finally push back against this. Thank God it is long, long overdue. Then you see this in Britain, where they're going after these Tate brothers, these real creeps, these influencers who are on, they're misogynistic, they're just really horrible guys, but they're now being arrested and extradited for basically sexual assault and possible rape. All right, fine. If they did that, put them on trial, have the justice system go at it. But notice how Britain doesn't go after the Pakistani rape gangs who are raping white English women. And we know for a fact now that one of the reasons they did not prosecute is they were afraid of ticking off the Muslim community and being called Islamophobic. It's absolutely crazy. But this is what unbridled immigration does to the West. You have 300,000 Jews left in Britain. You have about 4 million Muslims that are in there now, okay? Look at that ratio. They are a huge voting bloc. And the left needs that voting bloc to survive. Same thing in France and Germany and the rest of these European nations, there's an alliance between the Marxists, the socialists, these liberal parties, and the Muslim immigrants that they brought in and put on the dole. And it's shifting worldwide policy, where now Israel is being segregated, and they're supporting these illiberal, totalitarian regimes in Gaza, Hezbollah, Iran, you name it. So they, the gay community is supporting the countries or the reactionary totalitarian Islamic regimes that will kill them if they walk down the street holding their partner's hand. It's really, really gotten absurd. Got a minute left. Have to talk about those Fauci hearings today. Oh, my God, did you see them? This guy, really destroyed credibility in the healthcare system and institutions in general here in America and around the world. Probably the worst part was him funding the research in the Wuhan lab and then trying to hide that and putting out the lie that this came through a wet market, when his own diary shows he knew it was not the wet market, it was the lab. And then at one point he knew that getting the jab did not prevent you from transmitting to another person. So once you knew that, why were you still insisting on a mandate? He says he didn't close the schools or want the schools closed, but then you looked at his diary and he's bragging that, hey, de Blasio and Gavin Newsom, they listened to me to close the schools. This man did a lot of damage, but we now know. Don't believe in a guy just because he wears a white coat. Don't believe him when he says, I am the science. We're smarter than that, folks. I hope you enjoyed this show today. Hope you learned something, and hope you'll return next Wednesday, 4 o'clock on the right side. Have a great week.
For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be. America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see. A symbol of hope, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free in the America